Um, Imagine standing in a crowded, uh, intensely quiet boardroom. Your pulse is just pounding in your
So
ears.
setting a stressful scene right away.
Right, yeah. So you open your mouth to give a routine update to your team, but instead your brain sort of misfires and you accidentally reveal the details of a highly confidential corporate merger, one that, wasn't supposed to be public for another 6 months.
Ouch. Yeah, that is a nightmare scenario.
Exactly. And in English, we don't merely state that you made an error in judgment. We say you spilled the beans.
Spilled the beans. That phrase paints a remarkably different picture than a simple error, doesn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
it implies something chaotic, irreversible, and, well, deeply and awkwardly human.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to our deep dive, by the way. We are so thrilled you've decided to join us today.
Yes, welcome. Today, we are looking at the architecture of the English language, and our mission for this deep dive is not to hand you some sterile vocabulary list. We're not doing grammatical mathematics
Yeah,
here.
definitely not.
We are here to deeply analyze the emotional resonance, the historical mechanics, and really the profound life wisdom buried inside the idioms and phrases used to describe everyday life. We have a fascinating stack of source material today. It covers the entire spectrum of human experience, from minor coffee shop blunders to, well, the crushing weight of professional ambition, right down to the eccentric behaviors of our pets.
Because mastering a language requires understanding why these specific words were chosen by generations of speakers. Fluency is really having the precise emotional vocabulary to articulate what it actually feels like to navigate this unpredictable world.
Absolutely. So let's begin at the baseline. The foundation of daily life is often described with the adjective uneventful. And in modern society, people frequently throw that word around as if it were a mild insult.
Right, like it's a bad thing.
Exactly. We're conditioned by constant media to believe that every waking moment must be an adventure. So if a day is uneventful, the unspoken assumption is that it was somehow wasted.
I have to gently push back on that negative connotation, though. Because if we look at the linguistic mechanics, uneventful simply means lacking in notable or disruptive events. I mean, think of an uneventful day as a blank canvas.
A blank canvas. I like that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be viewed as this empty void space. Rather, it's peaceful. It's full of restful potential. That blank canvas gives us the required energy to handle life's heavier, more chaotic moments.
It gives you the space to recharge.
Exactly. Because eventually the routine shatters. You're going to encounter what the English language so wonderfully terms a mix-up.
Oh, the mix-up. The anatomy of that word is just fascinating. It's a noun that describes a mistake born of confusion, tangled communication, or, just a simple misunderstanding.
Right.
But notice the structure. Things are merely mixed up, they're rearranged, they are not destroyed.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah, it implies a localized error rather than a catastrophic system failure. Our source material provided a brilliant illustration of this. Consider a customer walking into a local cafe on a perfectly uneventful morning.
Okay, setting the scene.
They order a standard, reliable latte, but behind the counter, wires get crossed. A mix-up occurs. The barista hands them a mocha instead.
Ah, the classic coffee shop mix-up.
Right. So the customer takes a large sip, their brain fully anticipating the bitter, earthy warmth of espresso and steamed milk. Instead, their taste receptors are suddenly flooded with rich, decadent, sugary chocolate.
Oh, wow. That neurological surprise must be jarring.
It is, but it quickly transforms into delight. The profound lesson hidden in this vocabulary is that a mix-up does not inherently equal a disaster. In this instance, it was an unexpected upgrade, a delicious anomaly.
A win-win, really.
Exactly. The customer walked away with a more luxurious drink entirely by accident. Having the vocabulary to label a moment as a mix-up gives us the psychological distance to see the humor and sometimes the benefit in a broken routine.
Though, we do have to acknowledge that some mix-ups offer no tangible upgrade. Sometimes it's just pure, unfiltered social chaos.
Oh, for sure.
We reviewed some incredibly human anecdotes from the sources that perfectly capture this. Picture a shopper walking into a busy grocery store, spotting a massive, towering display of summer watermelons.
I can already see where this is going.
Right. Driven by some ancient, inexplicable human instinct to display physical competence in public, they decide to lift the absolute largest one at the very bottom of the pile.
A terrible miscalculation of physics.
Complete mix-up in judgment. The sheer weight of the fruit throws their center of gravity completely off. They're left stumbling backward, nearly toppling into a shelf of canned goods while a crowd of strangers just watches.
That is brilliant. And horrifying.
Or consider another anecdote from the sources. A commuter's running late for a crucial meeting. They spot a city park and decide to take a clever shortcut through the trees.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
You would think. But due to a severe mix-up in their spatial planning, they fail to realize the park is currently the route for an official marathon. Yeah, they push through a row of bushes and suddenly find themselves trapped inside a moving sea of hundreds of runners. They're forced to jog alongside them in full business attire just to keep from being trampled.
See, what I find so compelling about those stories is how language acts as a social diffuser. When you're learning English, mastering a casual term like mix-up gives you a tool to process acute embarrassment.
It really does. It softens the blow.
Exactly. Instead of internalizing the failure, you can laugh and say, well, there was a bit of a mix-up with my shortcut. It turns a moment of extreme vulnerability into a shared joke.
But we cannot stay in the park forever. Eventually, we must transition from the low-stakes chaos of the street to the high-stakes pressure of our professional lives. This is where the vocabulary shifts dramatically.
Which takes us right back to the scenario we opened with, the phrase, spill the beans.
Right, revealing a secret.
Usually by accident, disclosing information meant to be kept strictly confidential, the boss spilling the beans about the marketing project.
The historical etymology here explains exactly why this idiom is so visceral. In ancient Greek societies, voting for certain public officials or, making jury decisions was sometimes done using beans.
Wait, actual beans?
Actual beans. White beans for yes, black beans for no. These were dropped secretly into an opaque jar. If someone clumsily knocked the jar over before the voting was complete, the beans spilled out across the stone floor.
Oh, wow. So the secret tally was instantly public.
Exactly. Once those beans scatter, you can never put them back in the exact same arrangement. The landscape is permanently altered. And in our source anecdote, when the manager finally spilled the beans to their team about that massive marketing campaign, the resulting workload was described with a very heavy English adjective.
Daunting.
Daunting. To understand this word, we have to look at its roots. It derives from the Old French word dompter, which means to tame or to subdue.
To subdue, that makes so much sense.
Right. So when we call a project or a challenge daunting, we are unconsciously acknowledging that the task feels like a wild entity actively trying to subdue us. It is intensely intimidating.
And when confronted with a force attempting to subdue them, highly ambitious people often deploy a specific countermeasure. They decide to burn the midnight oil.
Which is such a vivid phrase.
It really is. This idiom is a fascinating artifact from the pre-electricity era. Before incandescent bulbs, working late into the night required burning whale oil or kerosene in your lamps.
Which wasn't cheap.
Exactly. These resources were expensive. So to burn the midnight oil meant that the task in front of you was so vital, so critical to your survival or success that it justified the literal financial cost of the fuel and the severe physical toll on your body.
And today, it just simply means working tirelessly into the early hours of the morning.
But I think we need to question whether modern society glorifies burning the midnight oil a bit too much. We tend to wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. It's often seen as the ultimate proof of dedication. But let's apply an analogy here. Think about ambition as a burning fire in your fireplace.
Okay, a fire.
A fire is powerful. It can beautifully warm your house during a freezing winter. But if you let it burn completely out of control, if you never put it out and just keep feeding it, it will eventually burn the entire house down.
That is a powerful way to look at it.
The employee in our source material was burning the midnight oil to get ahead on that daunting marketing project. But if you never step away, ambition becomes destruction. You have to know when to finally put the fire out and, well, hit the sack.
Hit the sack. That phrase perfectly highlights the gritty reality of what we need after that kind of stress. I mean, to go to bed, but it originates from times when mattresses were literally burlap sacks stuffed with hay or leaves.
Not exactly a luxury hotel.
No, not at all. It does not imply a luxurious, pampering rest. It implies a desperate, urgent need to collapse. It is the emergency shutdown you need before the house burns down.
And when the system is finally shut down, when we retreat from those daunting elements of the workplace, we require a different kind of maintenance, which introduces us to a really luxurious English verb.
Pamper.
Pamper. To treat someone with extreme care or to spoil them.
It's an interesting word. It originally meant to overfeed, to cram with food, but it has evolved into a broader concept of extreme indulgent care. And our source material explores this concept through the highly debated lens of our household companions, our pets.
Ah, yes, the great debate. We have the canine perspective first. The sources detailed the story of Max, a highly energetic dog. Due to a mix-up in his exercise routine, Max had too much pent-up energy and decided to aggressively chew his owner's favorite, expensive leather shoes to pieces.
Property destruction of the highest order.
Absolutely unforgivable. Yet, despite this blatant violation of boundaries, Max is still fiercely pampered. He sleeps on an orthopedic memory foam bed and eats gourmet salmon kibble.
He lives better than most of us.
He really does. But why do humans pour such indulgent resources into an animal that destroys their footwear? Because a dog acts as an external pacing mechanism. They force you to step away from your daunting tasks, go outside, breathe fresh air, and engage in the physical world. Their active, exhausting loyalty pulls you out of your own head.
On the feline side of the debate, the source material offered a much more terrifying dynamic.
Oh, the washing machine incident.
Yes, a cat named Sarah, driven by that instinct to seek out small, dark, and closed spaces, decided to take a nap inside an open washing machine.
A metallic drum that is practically a death trap.
Literally. The owner walked in and hovered their finger over the start button, coming within seconds of initiating a spin cycle before finally spotting the cat inside. It is a heart-stopping mix-up.
I would have needed to hit the sack for a week after that.
Right. Yet, cat advocates point out that this chaotic independence is exactly the appeal. Cats do not demand you take them for a run in the rain. They are graceful, they operate on their own schedule, they act as silent pest control, and they offer a low-maintenance companionship that perfectly suits a busy life.
See, this raises an interesting point about the word pamper. We often view pampering as a one-way transaction. The human expends the resources, and the animal simply absorbs the luxury. But I think you had a different take on this.
I do. I think looking at pampering as a one-way street is missing the point. I argue it actually heals the giver. Think of pampering a mischievous pet like tending to a garden.
Tending a garden, how so?
Well, you joyfully put in the hard work, right? You water it, you protect it, and you forgive the occasional weeds, or Max's case, the chewed-up shoes.
Right.
You do all this because nurturing something else makes your own life blossom. Framing pampering not just as spoiling an animal, but as a deeply human expression of unconditional love. It repairs the psychological damage taken during a daunting workday.
It fortifies us. And we desperately need that fortification because no matter how much we tend our gardens or recharge on our uneventful days, life will inevitably subject us to the elements.
Which brings us to a phrase that carries an immense physical weight: soaked to the bone.
Soaked to the bone.
The literal mechanics of this idiom are deeply uncomfortable. It describes a scenario where rain has bypassed every layer of defense. It has soaked through the synthetic fibers of a jacket, saturated the cotton shirt beneath, dropped the surface temperature of the skin, and tricked the brain into feeling as though the freezing water is radiating directly from the skeletal structure itself.
The source anecdote painted a very bleak picture of this. A commuter, entirely unprepared, gets caught in a torrential downpour without an umbrella, arriving at their front door completely drenched, shivering, and defeated, just crossing their fingers that tomorrow will be better.
And, metaphorically, being soaked to the bone represents those days when absolutely everything feels overwhelming and unavoidable. The project collapses, the beans are irreparably spilled, the mix-ups cascade into chaos, and the metaphorical storm just overwhelms us.
It's a heavy feeling.
It is the realization that you possess absolutely zero control over the external environment.
But I think there is a profound psychological pivot hidden inside this idiom. I want to offer a reframe here.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about the cognitive load of carrying an umbrella. We spend vast amounts of our lives monitoring the forecast, looking at dark clouds, holding tightly to our backup plans, completely paralyzed by the anticipation of getting wet.
Oh, the anxiety of the impending storm drains more energy than the actual rain.
Precisely. But what happens the moment you are finally, truly soaked to the bone? The umbrella is rendered entirely useless, your clothes are ruined. The absolute worst-case scenario has manifested in real time.
The anticipation is over.
It completely evaporates. The anxiety of what might happen is instantly replaced by the stark, undeniable reality of the present moment. You cannot get any wetter. And in that bizarre, freezing moment, you actually stop fearing the rain.
Wow. You're suddenly free.
You are. You stop hunching your shoulders against the wind. You realize the sky has thrown its absolute worst at you, and your skeletal structure is still holding you upright. You just walk through the storm with your head held high.
It sounds like a phrase of defeat, but it is actually a linguistic monument to resilience. Being soaked to the bone is the exact moment you transition from a victim of the storm into someone invincible to the rain.
And that, ultimately, is the true power of language. Mastering English is not a mathematical equation. It is not about passing a vocabulary test on the definition of daunting or pamper.
No, it's about finding the vocabulary to share our uniquely human journey, to articulate our ambitions, our mistakes, our comforts, and our resilience.
Exactly. It is finding the words to articulate the terror of spilled secrets, to laugh at the chaos of a grocery store mix-up, and to recognize your own unbreakable strength when the storms finally break overhead.
We are deeply honored to be a part of your language journey. If this deep dive resonated with you, if you found value in exploring the mechanics and the emotional architecture of English, we warmly invite you to join our community.
Yes, please do.
Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on this video, and share this deep dive with friends who are also fiercely dedicated to mastering this language.
Your support is what allows us to keep analyzing, questioning, and sharing these insights. And as we conclude today, we want to leave you with a provocative thought to carry into your week.
The next time your routine shatters into a frustrating mix-up, or the next time you find yourself metaphorically soaked to the bone with the weight of the world,
How can you use this newly acquired vocabulary to frame that exact moment, not as a crushing setback, but as a bold, necessary, and surprisingly beautiful new sentence in the unfolding story of your life? Keep updating your system. We will be right here with you next time.